We made it. Hey Dom, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you? Hey, so welcome back, everyone, to Game Face Monday here with Richie Bello and myself, Don Brady. Today we have an aggressive show that actually positions the marketplace and social media return on your investment and how to best analyze the performance of your media for your dealership for less than $3 a day. And this evolution of software and data that will allow us to do better, to spend our marketing dollars and to get a greater ROI, which on every dollar spent. And as we all know, it's all about data. We'll be back in just a few minutes. First, let's hear from our sponsor, Shop Smart Autos, where the shoppers become buyers every day. Go ahead, Richie. That was awesome. So, Richie, are you going to introduce Gene?
Yes, I wanted to tell you guys something. Jean did a lot of research. She's our CMO with ShopSmart, and she did a lot of research for this show.
Hi there. Well,
Hi.
Thanks again for having me back. But I really think that first, before we hear about our research, let's hear a little bit about Don, his background, and what he does to save the day for our dealers. Take it, Don.
So, as a lot of you guys know, I'm the Vice President of Dealer Success for Ship Your Car Now, and I'm the President and CEO of Don Brady Consulting, Inc. And I'm actually helping small dealerships, large dealerships, auctions all over the United States of America with auto transport. But we're actually, what a lot of people don't realize is we're a technology company. So we have the technology that our dealers, through API integration, they can push a button literally, and in less than 18 seconds, they can get a shipping quote from anywhere in the country to anywhere in the country. So it's a lot more than just having a carrier that can pick up cars. So it's the technology that really helps.
And let me show you their technology right here.
That's amazing.
And you can try it out yourself. Just go to therealdonbrady.com. Love to help.
And just to let you know, that's a video. Anybody can make a video showing a Flaherty technology. I got the whole presentation of the back-end technology, of the API technology, of the integration, of how they come up with their prices and everything. They got one of the best technology out there in today's market.
Thanks, Richie.
It's pretty exciting to see that, within 18 seconds, that we could be sitting anywhere in the world and know what it's going to cost to take advantage of an opportunity. Okay, do you want to get back to our subject for today, guys? We know that social media and the automotive marketplace sites are just how much most of our dealers are getting their leads. I'd like to talk about that a little bit because from my position in being an advertising agency for 40 years and having to deal with media analysis every single month, so that our dealers, we had 39 dealers at the time, our dealers could shift their money. It was a lot more difficult than it is today. But today, we're spending a lot of money on a lead. Well, we looked at 100 lead generation agencies, and we can give you the stats on that and the details on that if you reach out to Richie, the full report. But the way that most people are buying now are either subscription, retainer based pricing, or a cost per lead. Those are the two most popular models. But I want to tell you, LinkedIn advertising is currently costing you $75 a lead. Content marketing is currently costing you $92 a lead. Search engine advertising is currently costing you $110. That's the lead, not lead to close. And the cost from an automotive marketplace is as low as $15 and as high as $30. And I know that Richie's always talking about how an automotive marketplace turns shoppers into buyers. And the social media has a tendency not to ignore it, not to take yourself away from it, but to understand how important automotive marketplaces are, like cars.com, like Car Gurus, like Shop Smart Autos, because what they're going to provide is direct access to a person who is really, really a targeted person. Not only VIN specific, but in some cases, like with ShopSmart, you have up to 20 points of information on the person. So your automotive marketplaces are almost pre-qualifications. They've already done the work for you that you're doing directly with social media. Richie, can you add to that?
Sure. I call it like this, guys: spray and pray. Now, what does that mean? That means you go on Facebook with no VIN marketing, no nothing. So you're spraying and praying that it works for you. So that's why Facebook is so cheap. But to get a result on it, it's so much harder. A result not on getting an appointment, on actually the car going bye bye, right? So that's what I call it. The solution is a precise target to your VIN number. Okay. Now you look at the market, what's hot and what's not. I'll take 100 of your cars and analyze them. If you have 1,000 cars or 500 cars, like some dealers do, we analyze what's hot in that market and we target those cars that the market is supply on demand. Why? So when that customer comes in to your showroom, looks at the supply on demand of the car, so there's a perceived value versus a non-value, as you're just making that offer, that price offer, and now your grosses are dropping like we've seen it drop and drop and drop in the last 5 months, and you haven't seen anything yet. How much it's going to drop because we are not marketing what we're supposed to be marketing. We don't have to market the cars that are just no money. What you gotta market is what's hot in your market. So that's where our VIN retention report comes in and our DMA marketplace comes in with a 20-mile radius, which you guys have seen those videos before. So I'm not gonna say it again. There's no need to, but reach out to me or to one of my team members like
Well,
Dave.
let's talk about that for a second. My understanding, and I've done some research on this, and forgive me, I don't have 2022 yet entirely, but when we look back, we see that the cost a dealer our dealers, the dealers that are buying leads from Shop Smart Autos, and the dealers that are seriously in the market looking automotive marketplace and have a social media mix, they're delivering a car at about $650 to $800. If they have automotive marketplaces and it could reduce the cost of the lead against the time that the people are spending on it, they're converting a lot better. As an example, with Shop Smart Autos, we convert between 12 and 18%. Well, if you're spending $4,000 a month and you're converting at 10%, it's costing you $400 a car. That's where you want to be. You want to try to take your automotive marketplace numbers against your social media numbers, because we need both, but get your average down to about under $500 a car. And you can do it with the automotive marketplaces and the information that they provide. And what about your BDC guys? How does this help when you have that kind of a lead, Rich, with BDC?
Well, and let me just rephrase what you said. Our 14%, 12 to 14% is when dealers use a virtual BDC. I have the lead generation really business out for BDCs. I'm going now into the marketplace, but how I've been surviving and how we've been doing okay is because of the virtual BDCs. I have noticed that when COVID came and I opened up the company and I went to dealerships, they would have a terrible conversion. But I noticed that with the virtual BDCs, they get a 14% conversion. My question is why? Well, the market changed a little bit since COVID. My question is they're the ones that should be selling this because uh, dealers are not really trained into following a lead as much.
Does it make the difference because it's VIN specific? Is that probably the biggest reason?
Well, that is a big reason, Dom, and I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of other lead generation company, a Honda Accord LX, okay, they share that lead. By the way, so does Facebook marketers. They share leads too. We've learned that too.
Yeah.
So everybody in the motor has it. I didn't want to have that type of business model. I wanted to be VIN specific, where only one customer wants your car on your inventory, and that's it. There's no more stories. There's no, oh, well, he shares the leads. He does X. A lot of people are. What happens is when you can't do something, you're always knocking the next guy that could do something, right?
Yeah.
So that's what the problem is. But anyway, that's neither here or there. The biggest thing with our lead, it really works for the virtual BDCs, and we got a couple of BDC companies that are doing really, really well with this, and we just want to open it up to dealers now. As far as talking about our tools, right? Because we have the VIN retention reporting, right? VINs you lost. Okay, what does that have to do with marketing? That has a lot to do with marketing.
A lot.
Why does that have a lot to do with marketing? Because if you can strategize the VINs you're losing and what kind of customer you're losing, right? You can target your dealership better. Our enterprise customers that buy these reports or are thinking about buying these reports have asked us, well, Richie, it's great for service, for fixed operations. Like I'll send somebody to the Tangins nightlife and they'll see anybody that's in fixed op knows VINs. I'm going to get VINs that my dealership lost. Okay. I'm going to promote those people and see if they were happy with our service department. Look at our CSI about them and all that, and retarget them so they come back. Okay. But what does it do in the front end? It identifies to you, Mr. Dealer, is why you're losing them, if it's a sales issue, and also what it helps you do, it helps you stock your inventory much better for marketers, for guys like cars.com, guys like Auto Trader, because let's face it, if your inventory is right, you're going to dominate your market. If your inventory is over 60 or 90 days, your competitor has an advantage on you because he just got a fresh piece from the auction. He can sell it for $1,500 cheaper than you and make more gross profit than you can ever dream of making. Okay.
Well, it sounds like it'd be a gold mine for a BDC, whether it's virtual
Right.
or in house. It's giving them people to call, quality people to call, right? I mean, follow up wise.
Right. And the other thing with the VIN program is this. Okay. If you look up customer retention programs, automotive sector, There's 61 companies right now, 61 companies right now that are up and running. So every dealership knows about retaining their customers. There's a store out in the Queens area that's been retaining customers, been working on retention for quite some time. Really good dealership, great people there. But anyway, that company is doing a great job retaining customers. Okay. So now my question is to the dealer, okay, these companies that are retaining your dealerships need that VIN data. We have that VIN data. We have it, VIN number. You can cross-reference that VIN data, right, and find out what car they registered. Also, I believe there is a solution out there, reverse, where you can get that VIN data and see what car they bought. Well, you start targeting that customer to try to get him back because he was a previous customer. So there's a lot of different ways you can get this VIN right and make.
Let me ask you something. Like the dealer now can see where his VIN went to, but could he also identify some of his problems through seeing that, whether or not it's the dealership or it's the brand that's the problem? Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, you analyze it. You analyze if that customer that traded in that, because what happens is we know by the trade, right? So we know we lost 300 VINs. Okay, so that customer, what did he buy? Okay, that's something that is on your. You look at your DMS, the customer, and you can reverse and find out if the customer bought another Ford. And what we have noticed, we've done that research based on registration. The customer is not losing it to the OEM brand, but they are losing it to the dealership brand. Now that comes in a lot of reasons. Why? Because your sales is, you don't have really a sales department that's really effective. You don't really have any follow up. There's a lot of little different things that you do, but your other guy does. So with the VIN, it's a very important asset as far as data. I mean, who else has VIN numbers? There's not another company out there that has VIN numbers like we do.
Can I add to that, Richie? Can I add to that, Richie? The fact that I've done direct mail marketing my whole life, and the cost to get a guy to buy a car is $650 to $800. But if we take that list with the VINs that we lost, and I know I went to a Mercedes dealer my whole life with exception of one time, and the entire time I was away from them, they were telling me to come back. And I had a 24-month lease at that time. It took 24 months to get me back, but it was a lot less expensive than advertising to me cold when you use email marketing and funneling with those VINs. And I know the dealers know this. I'm just reminding them that once you have the report, and this report is only $150 a month or a run. Now, if you look at selling 200 cars at $650, you're spending $130,000 a month to run your media. So if you could have one little stupid line item, take away a radio commercial, take away a little of this or a little of that, and see what the hell you're doing with VIN retention. And for $75 a month, you could do a report on how to shift your media to a point of no return. So if you're looking at your media analysis from Clickable and you see that you're weighted heavily in an area, I'm not saying this is the real thing, but let's say it's Facebook, and the ROI on Facebook is between 2 and 6%, and your automotive marketplace pieces like your cars.com, your Cars Gurus, your Auto Trader, all you guys, Shop Smart, is coming in at 8 to 10% or 12% shift. And the same thing with VIN retention. VIN retention gives you a road back to. You know what I like about it too? Most manufacturers show you what you're doing in your brand, but this shows you what everyone's doing, right? So if I'm a Honda dealer, do I see what the Toyota dealer is doing in my DMA? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we have a whole a PowerPoint, right? A PDF with all the data of a 20-mile radius right on our ssadata.com. You look up Google Analytics and you see everything there. So you're able to compare your entire DMA, basically, your 20-mile radius, and you're able to see what they're selling and what they're not. And that's just a little sample, but we can really detail that report to exactly how many cars they sold and how many cars they didn't sell and the whole thing, right? Because we track the VIN number. So we have that whole report out there, and it's not based on registrations, it's based on the VINs, right? So we know what VINs are gone and what VINs are we have and what VINs are in transit. We just track the VIN number, right? Like tracking a website through Google Analytics. Our clickable reporting basically tracks everything, just like Google Analytics, but the only difference is instead of the website, it tracks the VIN. And you know what's funny? Not too long ago, I was in a little webinar. By the way, I'm going to start doing webinars. In a little webinar, a dealer told me that's history. Who cares about that? I says, I'm glad you brought that up because Google Analytics is history too. Why track Google Analytics?
Yeah.
In fact, Mr. Dealer, why don't you delete your Google Analytics right now and call me next year and let's find out if you're still in business. Because your competitors will just eat you up because you don't know what you're doing. You could be doing really good or really bad, but let's do that. Let's delete your Google Analytics right now. Don't track any marketing. Don't track any marketing and call me next year at the same time. And let's find out where you're at. Come on, guys. It's like, okay, it's history. Well, how do we learn? We learn from history. We learn from what we did yesterday, right?
I love Clickable because what Clickable does, I love Clickable because Clickable does so much to, and it's so inexpensive. Again, I'm from back in the day and blah, blah, blah. We looked at Nielsen and Arbitron and we looked at all of these things and we ranked the radio stations accordingly. Well, now with Clickable, you can have a side-by-side experience with what the hell you're doing with your lead gen, with your social media, and you can shift those dollars in 5 minutes to a better performing solution. And with the VIN retention that Clickable gives us, it gives us an historic understanding of what we have to do to fix and repair. Tell us about that one guy that had like 1,000 sales and he lost how many VINs, and then he gained, he only held 300 and he lost 700 in a few months.
He retained 1,100 and lost 390 VINs in 30 days. This is not a report of 90 days.
Now think about how inexpensive it would have been to deliver that car and reduce the cost of delivery by going after a sure shot, someone that loved you in the past, as opposed to going out cold and banging your head against the wall. It's so important to understand what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And I think that's really where we're at today. I don't know about you guys, but it's about time to wrap up. You want to say anything?
And it sounds like it's a slight adjustment. I mean, you have the data, it's all right there in front of you, and all you have to do is do some slight changes and really target the people that you're missing, the VINs you're missing, and go after them. Have your BDC go after them. I think it's a no-brainer.
Well, the biggest thing with the VIN, it really gives you where you're at. It really tells you what your dealership is doing, and it's very easy to identify. Are you losing VIN numbers in sales? Okay. And now let's think about that a minute for 1 second. I know we got to wrap it up for 1 second. Where is there a problem? Are you having a problem in your sales department? Not really. If your sales department is having a problem, it's the process that you're having a problem. So let's go back to history a minute. What happened in COVID? The money that dealers needed to spend on training, okay, they spent it on buying cars that the values were much higher. Why? Because they were selling them, right? So then the dealerships that started to sell cars in dealerships while COVID is where the issue is. Well, guess what? That's 68% of the workforce right now, right? They don't know any better. So now you're able to identify to the dealership where you're having a problem, and that report for the dealership's $150. So now he knows where he's having a problem monthly for $150. That it's invaluable.
Yep.
And you're able to troubleshoot where the problem is. But not only that, you're able to troubleshoot too because everybody blames the sales department. Everybody. But what about if I give you that VIN reporting and 30% of those customers came to your service department and were twisted at service and never gave that sales department the opportunity? What about that?
Yep.
Okay. What about if here's the VINs, here's the report, and here's the VIN. And why is the customer so mad? And why did you lost the customer? What if you found out, because there's really not a measure in service. It's just how many ROs do you have? How many open ROs do you have? That's the only measure that there is. Our retention is great. That's what every service manager knows. What you understand, a service manager is great with numbers. And those people have never been a service manager don't know that. But we are great with numbers.
Yep.
We can show the dealer anything he wants to see. And that can show a picture like a Picasso. Now you got something inspecting your service department and your sales department. Okay. Now you know what's going on because if that customer went in 10 times to service, there's a model in service called fix it right the first time.
Yep.
Because when you fix it right the first time, that customer is never going to come back. Guys, let me tell you something. Pay attention to that because there's a lot of dealerships that the problem is not in sales. I've already analyzed a bucket of dealerships. The problem is they've been to your service department 10 to 12 times, and 80% has been the same thing, whether it's an OEM problem or a dealership problem. Let me tell you this, when it's an OEM problem, how are you letting that consumer leave? LO, let out. Very important. How are you doing the let out with that customer when there's a problem in service? That's important, guys. Yep. And you want to know something? Just like sales needs training, so does fixed operations. Now, I can count in my hands a few guys that are really good in the fixed ops, but it's about the let out, right? So take that report, Mr. Dealer, and compare. Automotive sector are comparison people. Compare where the problem is. Just like you take that report now, right? And you have cars.com. And here's what you do. You dial the number of cars.com and you tell them cars.com. Oh, by the way, cars.com, Facebook user, I don't know who that is, but anyway, he said I was right. Okay, thank you. I don't know. But this is the way the call goes to cars.com. Hi, my name is Richie. I'm with ABC Motors. I'm at a budget right now. I have to wait 90 days to get back on. Okay. Now, what happens if cars.com says, oh, great, right? Turns it over to their retention department, which they have one. They're only salespeople. And here is, Mr. Customer, the report of the VINs that you've lost. But better yet, let's look at your entire market and why your market is doing so well and you're the lowest guy. Because whoever cancels your service of leads usually has a sales problem. Usually. 90%. Now imagine that, how powerful that is for you as the vendor to retain your dealerships. Oh, so now we understand where one of our problems could be, right? So, and that's important. And that's what's happening in the industry when your sales department is kind of a little bit light, where there's too many leads or they can't get appointments enough. Because let's face it, a lead is not a deal, guys. I don't know these. We got the new generation that actually does think that a lead is a deal. A lead is an opportunity for you to convert it into a deal. And what a professional salesperson wants is an opportunity to convert it into a deal. A lead is a lead. They're not signing no documents or no nothing. So now you have to go to work as a professional salesperson. Yeah, they either want a car or they either need a car. So you as a salesman need to listen to find out if they need one or they want one. There's a big difference, because if when you're working on the lead, right, you find out that they need one, guess what? I call it cha-ching, cha-ching. If they want one, that puts me at a different opportunity. Now I got to figure out what drives their ego, what emotional, how emotional could they be attached to a material thing. It's a whole different sales. But when they need
Hey Richie, we could talk about this all day long, but really we've got to shut things down. But
yeah,
I want to say thank you so much to Shop Smart Autos for sponsoring us today, and I really enjoy this time. And everything you're saying is so important. Dealers need, how do they can reach out to you at any time about this, right?
yeah, absolutely. They can reach out to us. Dealers know where to get us all the time. As a matter of fact, when they got, when they're complaining about me, they call me right away,
Of course.
because they know that I'm not like, the nicest guy to them around anyway. I really, really care about the consumer a lot, Dom. I'm really all about the consumer first, because I've always believed that if you take care of the consumer, everything will take care of himself. So I've banked my life on the consumer and not on the dealership.
And thank you, Miss Jean, for taking the time today too.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Take care.